The shocking truth. Behind 10 American towns, black people abandoned, twisted reasons they'll never teach you in school. There are towns across America where black life once thrived. Not just survived, thrived. Places where black doctors, lawyers, teachers, business owners, and everyday families built lives of dignity despite Jim Crow, lynch mobs, and second-class citizenship. These weren't just black neighborhoods, they were towns. Whole communities. Many of them were self-sufficient, rich with culture, and bursting with promise. So what happened? Why did black people pack up and leave these towns, some seemingly overnight? Why are these places now shells of their former selves, with crumbling buildings, empty lots, and haunted silence? What's the real story? Because you won't get it from a history book. You won't get it from polite conversation. You won't hear it from city officials. But we're going to go there, because the truth is not only shocking, it's twisted. Let's walk through the untold history of 10 towns across America that black people were forced to abandon, and the sinister reasons why. Tulsa, Oklahoma. The original Black Wall Street burned to ashes. Tulsa's Greenwood district was a black utopia in the early 1900s. More than 10,000 black residents lived, worked, and prospered here. They built banks, hospitals, newspapers, theaters, everything white America said they didn't deserve. Then in 1921, all Cain broke loose. A white mob, deputized by the city, dropped bombs from planes, torched over 35 square blocks, and murdered hundreds. And when the ashes settled, the government didn't rebuild. Insurance companies refused to pay. Survivors were left homeless. Today, Greenwood is a tourist site with a few plaques and murals. But the black families? Gone. And with them, the wealth that was never allowed to pass down. Rosewood, Florida. Wiped off the map by white lies in 1923, Rosewood was a quiet, mostly black town, until a white woman in a neighboring city falsely claimed she was assaulted by a black man. What followed was a week of racial terror. White mobs burned homes and churches, murdered residents, and hunted survivors. The town was obliterated. Black residents fled into swamps to survive. Many never returned. The worst part? No one was held accountable, no arrests, no restitution, just silence. It took the state of Florida over 70 years to even acknowledge it happened. Forsyth County, Georgia, no Negroes after dark. In 1912, a white mob drove out every black resident in Forsyth County. The excuse? An accusation involving a white woman. The result? Racial cleansing. Black families were forced to abandon homes, land, and livelihoods. The county remained nearly 100% white for over 75 years. Oprah Winfrey famously visited Forsyth in 1987 and was met with Confederate flags, slurs, and seething hatred. Imagine being told by generations of your family to never stop in that county, and it's still valid advice. East St. Louis, Illinois. A massacre, disguised as a riot. Not all of this happened in the South. In 1917, East St. Louis was the site of one of the deadliest race riots in American history. After black workers were hired to break a labor strike, white mobs rampaged through black neighborhoods, burning homes and lynching anyone they saw. The National Guard stood by. Estimates range from 100 to 200 black people killed, thousands fled, property was stolen or destroyed. And again, no justice, no rebuilding. Elaine, Arkansas. The sharecropper massacre no one talks about. In 1919, black sharecroppers in Elaine organized to demand fair pay from white landowners. That alone was enough to spark a bloodbath. White mobs, with help from U.S. troops, killed more than 200 black residents in what's now called the Elaine Massacre. For decades, this atrocity was erased from local memory. Survivors were jailed, some were executed. The black families who lived in Elaine either left or were swallowed by poverty. Wilmington, North Carolina. The only successful coup in U.S. history. In 1898, Wilmington had a thriving black middle class. Black politicians were elected. Black-owned newspapers flourished. Then, white supremacists staged a coup, yes, an actual coup. They overthrew the local government, killed dozens of black residents, burned black businesses, and rewrote the city charter to ensure white rule. The message was clear. Progress will not be tolerated. The black community scattered. Those who stayed were pushed to the margins. Vidor, Texas. The sundown town that still echoes with hate. Vidor was infamous for its signs warning black people to get out before sunset. The town's racist reputation was so strong that in 1993, when a federal judge ordered public housing to integrate, the KKK organized marches, and black residents were driven out by threats and harassment. To this day, Vidor remains a place many black Texans avoid, not out of paranoia, but out of historical memory, a wound that never healed. Princeville, North Carolina. Drowned, starved, and ignored. Princeville is the oldest town chartered by freed slaves in the U.S., but it's been repeatedly destroyed by natural disasters, which suspiciously never seem to hit white towns with the same frequency. After multiple floods, the federal government and the state refused to invest in infrastructure or recovery. Residents say the pattern is clear. Let the water wipe them out, then walk away. Black families began leaving, not because they wanted to, but because they were left with no choice. Nicodemus, Kansas, a black pioneer town, ghosted by America. Founded by formerly enslaved people in the late 1800s, Nicodemus was a bold attempt to create a free black frontier town. But despite their best efforts, they were cut off from railroad access, intentionally. While white towns around them flourished, Nicodemus withered. Lack of investment, neglect, and systemic exclusion ensured its decline. Today, it's a national historic site, but few black families remain. It's history, but it's also a warning. Detroit, Michigan. Redlined, rioted, and resegregated. Yes, Detroit. A city once hailed as a symbol of black upward mobility. But decades of redlining, police brutality, job discrimination, and the 1967 uprising changed everything. White flight was matched by economic disinvestment. Whole black neighborhoods were razed for highways and urban renewal. The people who built the city were pushed out. It wasn't abandonment, it was extraction. And the aftermath? Gentrification. Black legacy replaced by high-rises and trendy cafes. These aren't just stories, they're patterns. Systemic, repeated, and deliberate. Black communities weren't abandoned, they were dismantled, burned, buried, erased. So when people ask why there aren't more black towns in America today, the answer isn't mystery. It's massacre, policy, and betrayal. And we must speak their names. These places may be hollow now, but they were once full of life, love, and legacy. They were stolen. Legal disclaimer. The information presented in this essay is based on historical events, publicly available records, and documented accounts. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, this content is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, political, or financial advice. The views expressed are those of the author and do not represent any official entity or institution.